Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the schmoes know, this is Meet the Movie Press. Roundtable movie news and commentary from the industry's premier film journalists.
Hello, is this thing on? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Meet the Movie Press. I am your host, Jeff Sneider, and with us again we have Simon, our old friend Simon Thompson.
Showbiz Simon on Twitter.
Yes.
Still not convinced about that name.
No, I like it. I think it's a good one.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for tuning in this morning, gang. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
It's been a busy week, actually.
Yeah, it actually has. It's been quite busy.
And not just, hey, this person's going to be in the background of Star Wars. Oh, great. Great story, guys. Nice work on that one.
But you know who will be in Star Wars? Or the Han Solo movie, at least? Chewbacca.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Iger was on, one of those fancy schmancy calls that even I don't listen to. And he was talking about the Han Solo movie, and he said that it's going to be about Han and Chewie.
Now, don't get me wrong. I am excited about that. I think one thing, though, is the fact that that's like kind of saying, Betty White would be in the Golden Girls if the others weren't dead. It's kind of like you can't really have a Star Wars movie, without having someone like Chewbacca in some way.
I mean,
he's so much part of the fabric of
listen,
Star Wars.
it was obvious, which is why I was on Twitter being like, is this even news? Like, I'm not quite sure. It seems like it was a given, but people were like, actually, that's the confirmation, I guess, in itself.
But my concern is not whether he's in it or not. My concern is the fact that where they're going to go with that early movie. Because if they go to sort of, hey, it's Han Solo in high school, and what character they're going to kind of build Chewie in. Is he going to be, effectively the space jock? Is he going to be the outside? I don't know what they're going to do with him. And I'm like, I kind of don't want to know the early days of Chewbacca, because he's just kind of a hairy
Were there schools?
badass. I assume so.
Out in outer space, is it the same system? Are there kids going to school?
I assume there is some sort of school system in space, because, Han Solo has to learn to fly somewhere, so there would be at least be flight schools.
I figured I thought
some
he was just
kind
a
of
natural, just like
to blow up the Death Star. What sort of qualifications can you have for Death Star, degree?
He never looks at this at the cameras like, this is actually my minor.
I'm doing media studies for my major.
Right.
Yeah. No, I just a little bit worried about what they're going to do with it. So I hope they don't go with the, Star Wars Jumpstreet kind of angle.
People seem to be excited.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it.
I don't know if this was the announcement that Peter Mayhew was teasing, but people thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to know that they're not going to take it too far away from what we already know, that there are going to be those characters in it from the beginning. They're not going to try and shoehorn in too many completely pointless characters that will turn up somewhere in the future in the Star Wars series. That would be...
We'll see.
Yeah, true. I mean, if there's a toy in it, it'll happen. But I mean, it is good to have these, traditional characters, these characters we know in there, but I just don't want them to mess about with it too much.
Okay. No, I get it.
Does that make me sound really curmudgeoning?
I just like Star Wars again, and this was a running joke with Mark and myself, but I don't get it. I never will. Doesn't matter how good these movies are, I will never get the Star Wars phenomenon. I wish I was a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Star Wars movies, but I'm not one of those guys that get hard over Star Wars. It's not like, oh my god.
Are you getting hard over other character castings?
Well, that'll be
things?
discussed on another show. But do you know what I mean? It's like, I love Star Wars, but I don't love Star Wars. I don't want to make out with it.
Okay. Fair enough. What else was going on this week? There was a ton. There was a ton of shit going on.
Well, we touched on this when I mentioned Men in Black.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
the Men in Black Jumpstreet crossover got a director.
Yeah, it did. James Bobbin.
That sounds so much better when you say it.
James Bobbin. Well, he is British. Hello, James Bobbin. He does sound... whenever
Right.
I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he sounds like a character in a Dickensian novel, doesn't it? Yeah, so he's going to basically he's slated to direct.
I thought it was a really
crossover.
interesting choice. Actually, it's like it reminded me of the Taika Waititi choice for Thor 3.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to give these franchises to someone who he's shown his creativity with the Muppets. You know, clearly he's mentally
And
in
Flight
a
of the
space.
Conchords.
Yeah, that's very creative. He can really have fun with it, and the danger I think for Men in Black or any franchise crossover, it can go horribly wrong if you don't handle it in the right way. I think he's got the right element of humour and slightly twisted comedic timing and sense to be able to make it work, to make the ludicrous happen.
It's a similar sensibility to Lord and Miller, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And Sony,
And yeah, it's like
really need
imagine
a
if you were
hit like
doing
this.
Flight of the Conchords with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill.
I'd still watch that, to be honest with you. You know,
Yeah, well, obviously it would be very different, but
yeah, I like the Jumpstreet movies. I like the Men in Black movies. I'm not sure about mixing them together, but if you're putting James in charge of it, you got a pretty good chance that it won't suck.
I think that it is going to specifically make fun of itself and shared universes and multiverses and all these other fucking terms that you guys come up with.
But in a knowing way, not in a, haha, we're pastiching ourselves, wink, break the fourth wall. It's not going to be...
No, in the same way that they sent up sequels in 22 Jump Street. So I'm actually looking forward to that just because it's different.
Yeah. We need a bit of difference out there right now.
Right, like a little different and weird. It's just not the status quo.
But I think that works.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful for it. I know there are people out there who have, been hitting the keyboards this week going, but I'm like, give it a go. If it sucks, it sucks, but it could be really good.
And I think that's what J.K. Simmons must be thinking.
Yes.
Signing on to Commissioner Gordon
Interesting.
in Justice League, making the jump from Marvel to DC, as many noted.
And some people have lost their shit over that.
Yeah, like... he's an actor. He wants to play different characters, try different hats on.
Who the hell does he think he is?
Right. I saw some of that.
Yeah.
I think there was always some hope that he could return to the Spider-Man franchise just because he was so, beloved in those movies.
Yeah.
But it was not to be. He's going to go play Commissioner Gordon, taking over the role from Gary Oldman.
Great.
In the Dark Knight franchise. And yeah, I dig it. I dig him as like a hard-ass police captain.
Well, he's got such a great range as an actor. I mean, seeing him go batshit crazy in Whiplash was something I didn't see coming, but I was like, that was something really, really special.
Did you watch Oz?
I didn't like Oz.
But you watched Oz?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay.
A long time ago. But I mean, I just to see him now, I think this is probably the best part of his career for him, where he's really getting to play in a few different ball pools and have a little bit of fun with it.
Demand, isn't he? And he's in the Kong movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
He's got some really
on.
good stuff going on.
Hey, good for my man J.K.
Yeah.
Great guy.
But I think he'll do something. Gary Oldman was brilliant. Loved Gary Oldman.
Yeah, those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy from the OC.
I think any
on
man's
Gotham, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Those are some big shoes.
Not many people crossed over in that way. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I think he if anyone can do it, he's certainly got a really good chance of doing it, and he'll do it in a slightly different way. He won't do a Gary Oldman impression.
Just like look at these Oscar winners. My God, they keep coming.
Yeah, but everybody
to
wants
all these
to be.
superhero movies.
Everybody wants to be in them right now. I mean, you will touch briefly on a Forbes piece I did with Gary Michael Walters recently from Bold Films.
Yes,
and obviously they're working on Samaritan. And he told me that one of the actors that they've got who's very interested in taking the lead role in this is someone that they really didn't think would be interested in doing this kind of film at all. And this actor came and said, actually, I really want to be in this. This script was number 2 on the blacklist. I'm really interested in it. And they were like, what? Yeah,
right.
Okay, yeah, dude, read it. Whatever. Holy shit, how did that happen? And it's kind of like, people do want to be part of this universe now. Something that, say, 15 years ago was kind of poo-pooed, It was not, you didn't want to do a comic book movie. That was like, in those days, going back to TV. Heaven forbid.
Now you can have that balance, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ooh, speaking of superhero movie casting, Zendaya joining Spider-Man as Michelle. How mysterious. The mysterious Michelle. what do you think about her? I don't really have any experience.
She's not
with
someone
her,
that's
so.
really known in the UK. Sort of as a household name, whether it's talent or whatever. And yet she seems to be really, really popular over here. My little concern with this is the fact that it might be headline stunt casting. You know, kind of like when they were like, Rita Ora was going to be in the Fast and Furious movie. Mm-hmm. She's in it for about 2 seconds waving a flag.
Right.
Hey, go! Brilliant. Nice role, Rita Ora. Rita Ora is going to be in 50 Shades of Grey. Christ, that's a bad film. She's pretty much cut out of it.
Yeah, because I had sources insisting it wasn't a lead role that Zendaya was getting. But
I'm just kind of like,
it wasn't like the female lead.
Unless there's a really good reason to have someone like her doing in it, unless it's for stunt casting. To me, it's like a little bit concerning.
She was up for X-Men, though, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So it was like, I think, bound to happen. She's, maybe finding herself on these lists. Again, these list folks are, it's like, if you have a certain number of Instagram followers, you're going to be on the casting list now.
Yeah. That annoys me. I can't lie. It does grate a bit.
I was actually talking to someone, I don't know if they were like in commercials or television, but it's like as part of the casting process now, they are looking at these numbers, which I'm sure that we've discussed before, but it's weird.
And marketing, that makes perfect sense because you do have a built-in audience for these things. You know
course.
There are X amount of people that will go and see this movie. It doesn't always work. I mean, you remember the Fred films that came out a few years ago? Nobody went to see those, and he had millions of followers. So it doesn't always pay off.
Of course, but you're like casting fan bases now, essentially.
Let's just shove the Kardashians and everything. X-Men Kardashian.
And that's why it's like so funny when certain people get on Twitter, like people who have never used the service before, but you can tell they're being like pressured by their team.
Yeah, the thing is, it's also kind of galling if you're a young actor or a young actress and you are trying to get just that one role in a Hollywood movie where you'll get spotted and someone will go, oh, I know you. You were the Rooney Mara in Social Network that suddenly is doing really well. And then you're just kind of like, well, we'll just give it to someone who's in
right. All
magazines.
it takes is that one tiny
just
little role.
Just the one thing. It's happened for people like Eddie Redmayne.
Like, yeah, how many questions do you think Felicity Jones gets about the Black Cat now? Right? Is the Black Cat coming back? She's like, it was a nothing role in a horrible sequel.
But yeah, so I mean, she might be a great actress. I might be slightly doing her down, but I just feel it might be a little bit of stunt casting. And if the role is not that big, I don't think anyone should get particularly excited about it.
We're still waiting to see not only who will play the villain, but what the villain will be.
Yeah.
That's going to be big news.
Who would you like to see as the villain?
I mean, I don't really know Spider-Man's rogues gallery the way that I should. I'd like, I guess, somebody new.
Yeah.
A villain that we haven't seen before. A lot of people are saying Kraven the Hunter, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You see, I know it's been done before, but Green Goblin I thought was done great with James Franco. I thought it was done differently, but not great in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think there's still the right way to do Goblin. I think there's another brilliant way to do Doc Ock, who is perhaps my favourite. But it has to be someone, if they're reinventing the reboot, it has to be someone that's really interesting as a villain. Not go too far off what's the most obscure Spider-Man?
I think it has to be another young person. That's what I honestly think.
Yeah?
I don't think it should be another 45, 50-year-old character actor. I think they need someone his age.
But does it need that to give it some gravitas? Otherwise it seems like Muppet Babies. I don't think
if you look at something like Chronicle, it can be done well because there are real stakes. At least you feel like that when you're a teenager.
See, I would like it to be someone older. I would like it to be someone who is effectively the coach or the dad or the something like that. Some sort of connection. I would like to see an older character. Just otherwise, it is too fresh face. It feels a bit like, a teen movie. And I think now we've learned from the Marvel Galaxy that you can have that young and old together and it can gel quite right. I think it needs that balance.
All right. Spider-Man talk. Hot takes.
I know.
Hot takes, serving them up. Let's get into some hot takes with this movie that we saw. Let's take a break from the news for a second and talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, if you haven't seen this movie, you may want to tune out.
Yeah.
But I know that there was probably enough of our audience went on a Thursday night.
I think
because we talked to the dedicated movie fans.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know this was coming until the trailer hit, like most people. It kind of came out of nowhere.
Okay.
There have been a couple of versions of the trailer and TV spots that have pitched it in a couple of different ways. I think that's a good thing, and I think it's a bad thing, because it shows that there are different sides to this movie, but also when you see the movie, it feels very schizophrenic. There are two movies here that don't gel quite right for me. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. It was fun and it was distracting. It didn't...
I said the same thing. I was like, don't get me wrong.
As a film, I enjoyed it. And the sound design, brilliant. I think it looked
dude, the sound was so good.
Yeah. I mean, you were at the same screening as me.
Yeah, the way that the door in the film would open and close and the sound that would make, I thought was terrifying.
Well, there was a guy next to me that I actually thought at one point he might have shit his pants. he properly...
started stinking halfway through the movie.
He was a little bit older as well, and I was kind of like, dude, you okay? Do you need...
Was it Mike Fleming?
Should I call 911? But yeah, I mean, it's effective in some ways, very effective. It just doesn't quite gel. It feels schizophrenic.
Yeah. I thought it was really good up until the last 15 minutes, which I did not care for. They went in a different direction. I was kind of expecting them, or at least expecting that kind of spectacle, if you will. Trying to, to not spoil things as best I can. But I just thought it was a miscalculation. And the stuff with the boyfriend, okay? So there's a phone call at the beginning, and we hear. By the way, that voice, I think I looked it up. It's Bradley Cooper.
Is it?
Potentially.
God, he will do anything for money. What have you got? A phone call? Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it.
I think it was probably a favor.
Okay, we'll call it a favor.
It's probably a favor for somebody.
Yeah.
And sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
Phone call, boyfriend.
Right. So she's like running away from this guy. I thought that there needed to be someone that she was trying to get back to, and that we needed to invest in her like that. I guess it explains why she makes the decision that she does at the very end. But anyways, I thought Mary was great. Thought John Goodman was really, really good.
Yeah.
I loved fucking Variety had an article this week about how John Goodman gives the first Oscar-worthy performance of 2016.
No, Variety.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I was like, listen, John Goodman was very good. That is not a real thing.
No, that's not going to happen. I think even John Goodman's like, yeah, no. I don't, no.
Did it didn't even did it happen for Argo? No, it didn't happen because Arkin got it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It didn't even happen for Argo. It's not happening for this.
No. I thought like you say, he's great, but John Goodman's pretty much always great, even when he's in like a crappy film. The thing that it made me realize was we don't use Mary Elizabeth Winstead enough in Hollywood. She's good.
Pretty good, I thought.
She's really good. There was a movie she did a couple of years ago with Aaron Paul.
Smash.
Yes.
Smash was really... she was excellent in it.
It was. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie, and it didn't do much at the box office, and it got some critical praise, but not a lot because a lot of people didn't see it to review it, and it's such a shame because that's such a great movie. She is someone I think that is massively underused in Hollywood, and we are desperately in need of some really good.
She's gotten a few chances, and they haven't gone very well.
See, Scott Pilgrim, you're talking about, which I loved.
I was actually talking more about The Thing.
Yeah,
that was a big miss.
Big
if I remember,
steaming pile of miss. It was bad.
I mean, yeah, not her fault, but like that hurt. That hurt.
No, but I think she's still someone that is untapped by Hollywood in a way that she really could. I think if you're talking about people that we can bring into other franchises, she would be great to bring in on any of the superhero franchises, any of dramatic franchises they want to develop. She's great. She's got really good range. She's very controlled as an actress, and I think she's something that makes the film, which, as I say, is very much a film of two parts, slightly believable, bearing in mind what we're.
I like that you could
with.
Always see her thinking. I think it was Drew McWeeny wrote a review sort of talking about that. There's something going on behind her eyes as an actress.
Yeah.
And she's always just like, looking to survive in that movie. So I really enjoyed it, and I was like, the sort of movie I would recommend to my parents. Like, oh, Dad, I think that he was like he is a big Twilight Zone fan. My dad. And I would have recommended the movie to him if it wasn't for that last 15 minutes, and now I can't in good conscience.
Well, J.J. Abrams has already said that this is obviously in the Cloverfield galaxy, and there are.
Did you feel like there was an explicit link? Because I didn't. I mean,
only from
sort of
the ending bit, in the fact that it's general.
So it's
feeling, not to be a spoiler, but
yeah, we can't even talk about this.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I mean, so I think yes, it is, but I think it kind of gets into, unless they've really got an interesting story to tell to take it forward again, I think just leave it there and have it as a solid companion piece.
That that's an interesting thing because JJ never made a sequel to. I don't count this as a sequel. That's for sure.
No, it's not a sequel.
Definitely not a sequel.
No.
So he technically has not made a sequel to Cloverfield. Has not made a sequel to Super 8. And obviously, he didn't direct Cloverfield. Matt Reeves did. But he seems to be content actually with leaving one story hanging out there standalone, even if there are some loose ends.
Yeah. This kind of smack to me is the kind of extra thing you would find on a 2-disc Blu-ray special edition, which is effectively a short film that they've made into a long film. It's a good companion piece, but I think they do need to kind of just leave it here. But if you are going to go and see it, do go and see it in a theatre, because the sound design, just see it with good screen and great sound. Because
the opening credits were fantastic. Yeah. I mean, you want to be in a theater for that shit.
Yeah, you have to see one of the films you have to see in the theater. See it on IMAX, see it with good sound, see it whatever.
There's some good twists. Again, it was character-based writing, but it's just that ending.
And it's not Cloverfield. Just don't go in expecting Cloverfield. It's not Cloverfield.
True. All right. What else do we have? Let's talk about Lily Wachowski.
Okay.
Curveball.
Yeah.
Didn't see this one coming, but.
No.
Congratulations to her. So she's transitioning just like her sister, Lana Wachowski. What are the odds of that?
I'm not a scientist, but I don't know. But I mean, the thing is, it's interesting to watch this story develop, because we've seen a number of people come out and transition in the last couple of years. And I'm very happy to see that it's not such an issue. The first time people were like, oh, okay.
No, most people are very accepting, but
yeah.
Obviously there are the intolerant among us, and I think she was sort of talking about her experiences with the press, how she felt pressured to come out maybe before she was ready, and she needed some time to wrap her head around things. It seems like her Lana was a real inspiration for her and gave her the courage to be herself, so to speak. It's a pretty touching story.
I think it is a great story, and I don't like the way that she was going to be forced to be out. I don't think anybody should be forced to be out, in whether you're transitioning or whether you're gay or bi or anything. I don't think it's anybody's decision but your own.
Do you feel like the UK press is a little aggressive on that front?
Yeah, very much so. And she actually cited the fact that this newspaper was the Daily Mail. And
which had a history, right?
Yes, it does with sort of breaking stories like this, and also with previous cases. And it's the thing is, it's not as much news if somebody does it themselves. And this is why I'll reference another case. It's not to do with transitioning, but obviously Charlie Sheen a few months ago.
Right.
When he came out and said, I have HIV, suddenly you take the power away from the journalists, because nobody's told a tale on you.
Right. Exactly.
And then it's as important as
you have to get out in front of the story these days.
Yeah.
And so I thought that her open letter, Lily's open letter, was beautiful and profound.
And it would be easier to do. I mean, I don't suppose it's ever easy. I've never been in that position. There's a lot of stuff going on. But as you say, Sister has already done that. People like obviously Bruce Jenner's transition.
Right.
And people have seen how, you are going to get some people who don't like it. I don't think we're ever going to be able to change that, and that sucks. But you are aware now that if you're going to do that, you're not a freak. you're not the unique example.
Of course.
You're not alone anymore. There are other people out there who are normal, just like you, and that must make it not totally easy, but easier.
Sure.
And upside, we've got 2 more female directors in Hollywood. Let's be honest, we need that. So
I suppose so. It does. They certainly bring a diverse voice with them. Sense8 and yeah.
And not all
Anyways.
their stuff is critically successful.
No, but they go for it.
Yeah. And we're going to get to a point as well, I think, in the next couple of years where people will stop referencing their sex and sexuality, and they'll just look at them as 2 female directors.
Right.
They're not the odd couple. They're not there's nothing different about them. They're now both women, and they're both women in Hollywood, and they're both directors. You kind of taken that off the table, which is great.
Cool.
So I think it's a good thing. But bad Daily Mail.
Well, speaking of going for it,
Okay.
Sean Parker is reportedly shopping some idea that's called the screening room, where people would pay like $50 to see movies that come out in theaters day and day in their home on a set-top box they'd have to buy for $150. So it's a one-time $150 fee for the box, then $50 per movie for a 48-hour window.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are people going to do this?
Really? I think it's a shitty idea. I'll be honest with you, because look at if you are super rich and you have an amazing home cinema setup at home, that's fantastic. One, you cannot replicate the experience of watching a movie in a theater, whether you're alone or with other people. You just can't do it. You can have the best sound system at home. It's not going to be the same thing.
It's a
never gonna be the same
mindset.
experience.
Yeah.
You can't experience use 10 Cloverfield Lane as a good example. Watching that at home is going to be very different to watching that in the theatre.
Right.
It's going to be a very different and non-comparable. So you may as well just wait for the DVD or the Blu-ray to come out, rather than piss all this money up the wall and have this special swanky thing.
Now, here's the question. Is it pissing money up the wall if you're parents of 2, even 1, you got to hire a babysitter to go out to the movies. That's money. You got to pay for parking. You're paying for like concessions. Like, it all kind of adds up. So that $50 seems like a bargain. I feel like the price point is actually way too low, and that's why nothing will ever happen with it, because there needs to be a higher barrier for entry.
The price point may be too low for the customer, bearing in mind, as you say, the value that they're going to get. But the price for the industry is massive. Because if you use that example, a family, great. But if you get 5 of your friends round to come and watch 10 Cloverfield Lane or The Brothers Grimsby, both out this weekend, that's going to take, very quickly, across America alone, a shitload of money out of the tills of the theatres.
Do you think it would encourage more movie watching?
No.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, I don't think it will, because, whether you're sitting at home watching it in your pants with your friends, or whether you've got to, trek over to the theatre, I think if you want to see a movie, anyone who really wants to see a movie, say Star Wars, Force Awakens, will make the trip to the theatre. I don't think anyone's going to go, well, I'm lazy, so I'm going to watch.
I think you're more likely to see a movie at home. If it was available, if you just went on your iTunes at home and Cloverfield was on it, on iTunes, you wouldn't pay $50 to see it with a couple of friends sitting there with you.
No, I mean I want to watch the Idris Elba thing that he did for Netflix.
And you went out to a theater? Or?
No, it's on my queue. I can't be asked to watch it.
Oh, okay.
It's just sitting there. There's a couple of films that I want to watch that I watched a few months ago. But I can't be asked to watch them on pay-per-view. There's loads of other shit that I can watch at home.
But the theater will draw you out.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Jobs is a really good example of this. Happy to watch that at home on pay-per-view. Didn't really feel the need to go to the theatre for that. 10 Cloverfield Lane. I went to see Brothers Grimsby last night.
Yeah, tell me about the Grimsby, because I saw that as well.
Yeah, I laughed a lot. I laughed hard. It's a terribly wrong film in many, many ways. If you're easily offended, stay away. There's so much in there.
It's not even necessarily easily. If you just have ever been offended,
if you have eyes,
you will probably be offended by this.
And there are some really, really funny pieces in it. There are elements of it that are so ridiculously far-fetched. I'm not talking about the sex scenes. I'm talking about the fact that England could possibly be in a World Cup final. I think that's pretty unrealistic. And there were actually people, there were so few people in the screening I went to last night. and there were people retching at certain scenes with some of the jokes that were there. I've never experienced in a theatre anyone vocally retching at a film. When it's funny, it's very funny. And when it's not, it just kind of sits there like a fart in a lift. Everyone knows it's there, but no one really wants to own it. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually thought it was a step up above The Dictator overall, even though I did obviously have problems with some of the jokes in it, which I just thought crossed a certain line. But the
jokes that crossed the line, I'm not proud of myself, but I still laughed at them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I laughed at the scene set inside an elephant's vagina, so I don't know what that makes me, but...
Yeah, I mean, I found that funny, but there's only so many jokes about elephant cum in the space of 5 minutes
there's a lot
that you can keep laughing at. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm just like, that's funny. Oh, God, it's not stopping. Do you know what I mean? So
yes.
I did enjoy it. I thought it was funny. Is that the kind of film that I would rush out to see at the theatre, or would I sit at home and watch it on Screening Room? I'd probably get some buddies round and watch it on Screening Room, but I wouldn't pay $50 to have that occasional occurrence,
I don't think that it will
I'd
work
wait for Blu-ray.
I don't think it'll work, and I don't think that Sean Parker is the guy to do it. Obviously, he changed the music industry with Napster. I think that the movie industry is a lot less adaptable to change and open, that kind of thing. He does have Jeff Blake consulting for him, former Sony executive. That's interesting. It gives him, the whole thing some legitimacy. But yeah, I don't know.
I think it's an interesting proposal. I don't think it's a particularly good proposal. I think it needs to offer more than that, especially when you're competing in a market where, say, looking at... I did a piece this week on Legion M, which is going to be the first entertainment company that has shareholders that are fans. So you put in an amount and they use the money in the pot to create all sorts of things. So they've gone into, got into bed with as a partnership with people like Stupid Buddy Studios and Meltdown. And that's quite interesting, because if you are creating that content that you can watch at home, you do have some sort of financial investment in that, and you are going to go out and say, this is fantastic.
You'll feel a piece of ownership.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a personal question, though, on that stuff. Have you ever given money to Kickstarter?
I have, yeah, a couple. I have, for things like documentaries and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, not huge amounts of money.
Are you giving to like a studio movie? Like, are you giving to like the Veronica Mars movie?
No.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we needed a Veronica Mars movie, and I think the box office proved that even Veronica Mars fans didn't really give a much.
What if you thought that they did need a Veronica Mars movie, and Warner Brothers was like, yeah, we'll do it if you can raise half the budget? Would you contribute?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
I just have a problem
documentaries.
with it. Yeah, I understand. That's a different thing.
But no, if it's a studio movie, that's just like, well, if you don't give enough of a shit about it, I'm not giving you my money now. Oh, you got a free ticket. That's not the same. Then I paid for my ticket. I don't get that financial investment back. Well, I've seen it. That's amazing. But it's not. I don't think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, I think, why this is feeling slightly different and slightly more interesting than Screening Room, which is just saying I can't be bothered to go to the theatre. I don't think it's going to help box office of films either at all. So
one of the reasons I go to the theater is the trailers. Even though I feel like I've already seen all the trailers by the time I get there, and when I see press screenings, I see press screenings for the most part, which don't have trailers. But hey, let's talk about some trailers with Captain America: Civil War.
Yes,
where we saw the first look at Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I'm a little bit worried.
Hashtag Spider-Man fan.
But I didn't like the look of Spider-Man.
He looked a little fake.
Yeah. He kind of looked like clip art.
Looked like a fucking action figure.
Yeah. I did expect the old words.
Rather than a person.
It just didn't... Everything else was so highly finished. And seriously, I saw that trailer, almost peed my pants. It looks so good. But when Spider-Man came on, I was like, oh, shit, that's embarrassing. It's like someone went to Party City and got a Spider-Man outfit and just turned up. And they were like,
wait, where's Party City? Give me the directions to that place.
It's not a strip club. If it was, I'd go there. But yeah, it didn't look quite as finished, so I don't know what else they're going to do to him or what. But I think they put Spider-Man, I might be wrong on this, but I think they put Spider-Man just to stop everybody asking, is Spider-Man going to be in Captain America Civil War? Because everyone's been asking that for months, and it was like, oh, fuck, just put him in it. Just put him in it, and then everyone can shut up, and we can talk about other things to do with the movie. Look, he's in it. Brilliant. Nice work.
Yeah, I get that they were under a certain pressure to reveal him at this point.
Because if they didn't, someone else would.
And it was great. The Under Ruse thing, like I actually thought that the appearance went over really well online, which was important, you know, for a first impression like this. So yeah, I think Civil War looks pretty fucking cool, man.
It looks really good. I actually, with trailers that are coming out at the moment, I've got a bit of an issue with trailers sometimes, but I think it looks progressively more interesting and more good. The first one was just like, it's Captain America and Iron Man fighting. This looks like there's a lot more emotionally involved in it, rather than just something mildly homoerotic with two hot guys in costumes kicking the crap out of each other. I think this shows a lot more depth. It makes it look a lot more of an interesting movie. Great to see Ant-Man in it. Really love Ant-Man. But yeah, Spider-Man, as excited I am to see him in it, for me, I think he needs aesthetically a little bit more work. But yeah,
right.
What the hell does Disney care? What I think? But yeah, do it. Just do it.
I feel like, so, you know, they announced that Civil War is going to screen at CinemaCon.
Okay.
In Las Vegas, which is April 11th through 14th. I hope to be going, but that is not the debut for Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's not the premiere. Now, I don't know if, you know, the studio isn't calling it a premiere because it's technically a special screening, even though it may be like first, it may be screening there first. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like there may be like a difference in opinion of the definition of premiere.
Yeah. I think they mean it by public eyes rather than industry eyes.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose you're right. Yeah, maybe. But it's, I mean, what if it was screening before then?
Are you telling me that you've basically been invited to a screening?
No.
Okay.
I have not been invited to a screening.
Because yes, I will come with you. I'm just saying. That's like, very nice of you to offer.
It's just like, what if I interpreted like the actual way that I typically do, and it's not premiering at CinemaCon in mid-April, it's premiering before then. You know, like there aren't a lot of places and events in the next month that it could premiere.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those events next week is South by Southwest.
Yes.
Seems too far out to screen Captain America and let those spoilers out of the bag. Yeah. Unless they made everybody sign like an NDA inside the theater, although even that, you know, there's typically problems with that.
Yeah. Those are never watertight.
But what if something happened? You know, what if it did?
You know, you might not be wrong. I don't know if it will sit with what else will be showing at South by Southwest. It would seem to me a little bit.
People are going to eat that shit up anywhere. South by Southwest is getting like super cool lately. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm not
trying to start that rumor that you're going to see Civil War at South by. That rumor. But you know, Variety also alluded to in its piece about South by Southwest that there may be one or two secret movies screening. I'm just like, I think of Comic-Con, like didn't they screen stuff like Kick-Ass and you know, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Disney. I'm just saying that much. Wouldn't put it past them.
Do you know, it's not the most ridiculous suggestion, but I'm just thinking that they might not want to do that this early because, you know, in a few weeks we've got Batman versus Superman.
Well,
and
that's the point.
Lost.
That's the whole point.
See,
what if they are trying to steal the thunder of Batman vs Superman?
You see, I don't think
it's diabolical.
You see, this happened with the trailer the other day when it came out and was like, oh, well, comparing it to Superman versus Batman, and I'm like, well, they're both superhero movies, but they're very different films. They're different styles within a genre. That's like comparing, you know, an orange with a banana. It's like, well, they're both fruit, but they're two very different things. And I don't think they're both going to make money. Obviously, Captain America is going to make shitloads more money than Batman versus Superman.
Yes.
I think they're going for different audiences.
I think they're going for different audiences.
Yeah, I think there's a difference in
I think
audience.
they're going for the same audience.
Well, sections of the same audience. I mean, I know a lot of people who love Marvel but really don't like Batman versus Superman.
Those people are crazy, just like most of the people listening to this show.
They may be crazy, but they're putting their dollars down.
I only see Marvel movies. How dare you say...
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who literally, they're really not excited by the DC catalogue at all.
That's
maybe
crazy.
Suicide Squad, but not Batman versus Superman. A lot of people saw Man of Steel, and they're burnt by that.
DC has the best characters. I mean, come on.
But are they done in the best way? That's the thing. Just because you have the best characters...
I finally spoke to someone who saw Batman vs Superman. I hate to be one of those guys who's like, oh, everyone I've talked to who's seen it says it sucks. Like, you know, there were those reports that we've heard from different corners. So I finally spoke to someone whose opinion I trust. And yeah, they kind of shook their head no and just said, you know, it's definitely a Warner Brothers, DC movie.
But people won't go and see either or. You know, people might say, "Oh, I'm definitely going to see this. I'm not going to go see
still
this." But it's not
excited.
like everyone's going to go, "Well, I've only got one ticket to see. So what am I going to see? I'm going to see Marvel, or am I going to see DC?" I think people who want to see both will see both, and I think people who just don't give a shit about either one will just avoid it. I know some people who think Marvel's gone way too, you know, sort of wacky, and they're just like, "I'm done with Marvel." They're assholes.
I feel like none of these. I feel like these people just say these things, but they're still buying the tickets.
Man of Steel. I know it took a lot of crap. I quite enjoyed that. There were elements of that I did enjoy.
Yeah, no, me too. So
I'm intrigued.
Fingers crossed for Batman vs Superman. I don't have an invite yet. It is screening next week.
But yes, I will come with you.
If corporate communications would like to invite me, I mean, I'm not going to refuse. But it is screening next week for press.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers did receive an invitation, so
I'm interested to
start to see the reviews and reactions soon.
I'm sure we won't be able to miss those.
We're only a few days away.
Yeah. You know, I'm still intrigued by it. One thing I'm really not looking forward to is Beetlejuice 2.
Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah. We'll get on some other trailer stuff in a second. But yeah, Beetlejuice 2 was announced, well, kind of demi-confirmed, because apparently Tim Burton has said, yes, we're looking to do it. Winona Ryder did an interview on US TV, and she was like, oh, I didn't know we were supposed to be talking about this yet. We've been very top secret about it. So it looks like Beetlejuice 2 is happening.
Have we been very top secret about it?
It's
been rumors for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's terribly kept secret. But yeah, so apparently Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton both, you know, involved. I'm just saying, I love Beetlejuice.
Me too.
Leave it alone. We don't need a sequel to it.
Definitely not.
These sequels that happen so long after the originals very, very, very rarely actually work. Okay, it's not going to take away from the original. We always have the original film, but you always know that other film is there. And it's just, I just say leave it. There's nothing, you don't need to add to the Beetlejuice galaxy.
I agree. There's no, nobody's claiming for that. A friend of mine actually played Beetlejuice at Universal Studios.
Okay.
He would be the guy, you know. Oh man, it was really funny hearing him do the voice and all dressed up. Anyways, I know for sure.
Did you get him to do that?
I know for sure we don't need a movie because he was not one of the more popular characters.
No. And the thing is that you know, in Universal, certainly I know in Orlando, they've actually taken away. They used to have a daily show, like I'm assuming they did here in Hollywood, and they've taken away that theater now to make room for a Fast and Furious ride.
That's right. We need space.
And why did they do that? Because nobody went. It's not Field of Dreams, people.
Well, people don't want to. I don't know if they want those live goofy shows anymore. Like, entertainment has evolved. It's more sophisticated. I don't know.
Just rescreen the Beetlejuice cartoon if you want to have a follow-up from that, because those were kind of cool.
Okay, let's talk about Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
So,
this is going to upset a few people, in my opinion.
This is some crazy shit. And you know, I know that there were reports this morning. Those accounts seem to have been confirmed. Yesterday, I broke that Finn Whitehead, a young unknown actor, was going to land one of the two young leads in, Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's World War II movie. And this morning comes word that the other lead appears to be going to Harry Styles of One Direction.
Yeah. Maybe he's got some hidden acting talents. I don't know.
I mean, listen, Nolan knows what he's doing. he's got an eye for casting. I've heard of crazier shit before. I'm sure back in the day people were like, Jennifer Lopez for Out of Sight. I don't know.
But occasionally there are pop singers, musicians
who are really quite good.
Madonna's
a fairly talented actress.
As we said earlier, we don't know how big the part is going to be, but how many times?
I think it's the lead. I think Harry Styles and Finn Whitehead are the two leads.
Yeah, see, maybe he's a great actor and we've just never seen that in any of the One Direction videos.
Yeah.
They're not exactly Citizen Kane. Okay, Christopher Nolan knows what he's doing. I'm not a massive fan of his films. I find some of them bloated, and I find some of them a little bit predictable. But he's a director who, as you say, he casts well. This puts me off the film more than it interests me about the film.
Really? I don't give a shit either way. It's Christopher Nolan. I'm going to be there, opening day. I don't think the casting even matters in this case. I was expecting two complete unknowns. Just because you got the guy from One Direction, I'm not going to begrudge him, being talented, I guess. He's a natural-born entertainer and performer, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until, I see him make a fool of himself, so.
Yeah.
Harry Styles, folks.
I'm just not.
Well, I'm just courting the Harry Styles fans to watch Meet the Movie Press. There's crossover. Who knew?
I'm sure they'll hate what we're saying about it.
When I woke up this morning, I did not know that I would be reading Harry Styles to start a Christopher Nolan movie. That seems like an Onion headline.
Yeah, nothing against Harry Styles, but we've seen none of his acting. And it just seems one hell of a leap.
But, I haven't seen the acting of the other kid. We're not talking about him like that.
No, but he doesn't have the history and connotation.
What connotation? I mean, the kid's got baggage because he was in One Direction?
I think he does. I'm
going to tell you about a young man whose name was Justin.
Right.
Justin Timberlake.
And people were worried
One
about
of our
that.
Finest American actors. Is he American? He's secretly Canadian. I don't know. You never know. But I don't know.
Canadians.
Timberlake has effectively made the jump, and I.
Yeah, so
his range may be a
Fatone.
little bit limited, but I enjoy Timberlake actually on screen.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, no, I do. Not all the time, but yes, I do. But again, when he made the move from NSYNC and solo artist, everyone was like, really?
I mean, look at Will Smith.
Yeah, you said it yourself about, Madonna and Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
There were question marks over that, so my question mark is not unreasonable.
There's no question mark over something like The Boy Next Door, Simon.
Well, apart from, why did they make that? What the fuck did I just watch?
I love The Boy Next Door. Rent it.
No.
Okay. What else is going on?
Ghostbusters? Should we touch on Ghostbusters?
Let's touch on it. Just to touch.
So, first trailer came out recently.
Yep.
A lot of people got very upset for many reasons.
Are they reasons or?
Well, there were reasons to them.
Illogical.
Well, they were women. How dare they?
Yep.
Because the original had men in it. And also the fact that one of the women in it isn't a scientist, just like Ernie Hudson in the original.
Right.
Everybody was going, you're a scientist. I'm like, you've seen the first Ghostbusters, right?
Not making the black lady the scientist.
Yeah, but
she works for the MTA. Why
like,
can't she be a scientist?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I just didn't understand those reasons. And it's the first trailer, and they worked very, very hard on that trailer. A second trailer came out this week, which was the international trailer, which had more footage in it and kind of gave you, more of an idea about what it's going to be. Yeah, I think some of the jokes are going to be predictable and cheesy, but I think they're out of context. I'm a fan of Paul Feig's work. I like many of his films. And he's a very, very talented guy, and he knows comedy. He is a big fan of comedy. So I think with some of his trailers for things like Spy, some of that trailer didn't look great. I loved Spy. I thought it was really, really funny. Bridesmaids, wasn't sold on that when I saw the first trailer. Turned out to be hilarious, and I loved it. And I've watched it several times. So I think that the trailers don't necessarily, and rightly so, give too much of the stuff away.
I think that there's more going on. Like, Feig trailers actually can't necessarily... they're not easily digestible in the sense that like there's always more going on to a Paul Feig comedy.
They're surprisingly complex.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for Hollywood movies.
It's not just like Wedding Crashers. These guys crash weddings. Like, it's going to be a blast. And you're like, I'm there.
Yeah.
It is a little bit trickier.
But also, it's funny that people were going like, this is terrible. They're all women. This is outrageous. They're women. Oh, hang on. Chris Hemsworth taking his top down. Oh, I'm like, hang on now. No.
I think they're all going to be great. I think Chris Hemsworth is going to be really interesting to watch in that. It's going to be kind of different for him. I'm a pump for Leslie Jones. I think Leslie Jones is going to steal that movie.
There's
That's
a
my
lot
prediction.
of really funny women in there who wouldn't do it if it was going to be shit. I've got friends who
prefer
read
the second
script.
trailer to the first one? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't not like the first one. You know,
sometimes the way that the studio sells things to foreign audiences, it sometimes is just the best for us too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very confident and very excited about Ghostbusters.
Me too.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing. And
it's my Star Wars.
As many people would have been bitching about it if it was all the old guys and going, well, it's not the same as the first Ghostbusters that was made in 1984. You know, you just can't win with some of these people. There's no point arguing with them because they're not going to change their opinion. I'm confident in it, and I know people who read the script and they say it's a very good script. So I'm going to back Paul Feig on this one.
All right, I feel like we're running a little close to the end of the show. There's a few other things that I wanted to get to, so we may have to do some quick hits.
Sure.
Daisy Ridley is wanted for Tomb Raider. Guess what? Daisy Ridley's wanted for fucking everything in town.
Yeah. Strong woman.
It was a very weird story that Deadline posted. I would be shocked if Daisy Ridley did it. I don't know why she would. I think she's way better than that franchise. I don't know why you would take Angelina Jolie's sort of leftovers, if you will. I think that she needs to do something that's not a franchise, let alone another franchise resuscitation.
I'm agreeing with that.
So, yeah, it just seems like a terrible idea. I don't think that she'll do it. I know that Universal courted her for a couple of things, including Bird Box.
Yeah.
Do you know what Bird Box is?
I'm aware of the title of the film. I've read stuff around it, but I'm not that familiar with it as a project.
producing Bird Box. And, they've gone after Emily Blunt at one point, Margot Robbie, and the latest target of their desire, I thought, was Daisy Ridley, or at least, in the wake of Star Wars, it was. And also I heard that Ron Howard really liked her for Under the Banner of Heaven.
Yeah.
Along with, Tom Hardy. That was the rumor that I had heard at the time, but I don't think that Ron Howard is focusing on Under the Banner of Heaven next. I think that he's going to be working on something else. So,
I'm just not excited by the Tomb Raider reboot of the franchise anyway. I think there's a lot more interesting things that could be done with strong female protagonists if you want to go along that. If that's where they're doing it. Sure,
but it is like a good franchise, and I can see why.
Is it still relevant though, Lara Croft?
It clearly, I'll tell you, Meet the Movie Press. Our fans love Tomb Raider. It is it was the number one thing that they would ask about for a long time. So it definitely has a fan base. I don't know.
Answers my question.
But I maintain that I would love to see Alexandra Daddario get this. I just don't want to see Daisy in another franchise. I think that she's just better than that and needs to show her dramatic chops. Next.
Well,
we know that she can play an ass-kicking hero. So.
Yeah.
We'll see if Bird Box or Under the Banner of Heaven pan out. They may have moved on to others at this point. So those are old rumors. What else? There was a big auction for this Killers of the Flower Moon book. Everybody in town wanted it. Everybody and your mom. Everybody bid about $2.5 million, except for Netflix, which bid $3 million.
Right.
Mike Fleming did a great piece on Deadline about the auction in a way that I never could have worded it. And, he said it was basically anyone's game. An hour or two later, because my editors wanted me to follow up on it and just post sort of what I knew at that point and try to match it anyways, even though it was unmatchable. And I had heard that that J.J. Abrams and Leonardo DiCaprio were going to get this book. Like, no package could offer the sort of star value of that. I mean, J.J. coming off of Star Wars, Leo coming off of his Oscar. Like, both these guys are at their fucking peak.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go with that package necessarily? And then this company, Imperative Entertainment, comes out of nowhere, trumping everyone's bid with $5 million for a book. Those are feature rights to a book. That, by the way, the incident in the book, and it's actually a really cool story. Like, I understand why Hollywood went nuts for it. Did you read about this at all yesterday?
No, I didn't know.
It's called Killers of the Flower Moon. It's about this Indian tribe in Oklahoma that starts to mysteriously get killed off. And it's because that they are living on on top of land that is rich with oil. And it may very well be, the government doing it. And so the case, anyways, falls to a new organization, law enforcement organization known as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So it was like their first case. So it's like the birth of the FBI story juxtaposed this Indian tribe that's being murdered. I think it would be so fucking cool.
It does sound really good, actually.
So everyone went nuts for it, and then this company Imperative just came in late in the game. I don't even think that they were in earlier articles, and they made a splash for it. And, I imagine that they're going to have to shell out now for some A-list attachments. Like, this is going to get a little expensive. But for all we know, it could be the next Revenant. Who knows?
It's certainly an interesting idea. I can see why there was the appeal for the book. So,
yeah.
Done right, that could be awesome.
That's a big that's a lot of money that we've seen paid for book rights. I forget what 50 Shades sold for. May have been $9 million or something. I don't even know.
Waste of money that was.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Makes you want to burn books, which you should never do.
Halle Berry doing Kingsman 2.
Yeah,
thumbs up or down?
I'm saying thumbs up.
Yeah, another Oscar winner replacing Colin Firth.
But I like her in action stuff, and she really needs a hit.
We'll see if Julianne Moore's panned out. I don't think she's been confirmed yet.
Have them both. Holy shit, how cool would
Julianne
that be?
Moore have 2 Oscar winners to the cast.
Yeah.
2 awesome
I liked Kingsman. I really like Kingsman.
Yeah, no, me too. And so this is a good move for Halle Berry, who could stand to do another big movie that's not an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Do you follow football at all?
No.
Tony Gonzalez. Do you know him? He was like one of the
Speedy's
best.
brother? I have no... Literally, football, you could be speaking, I don't know.
Oh, never mind.
Anything.
Yeah, he's British. We'll excuse him, folks. Tony Gonzalez, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the greatest tight ends in history. He's going to be in the Triple X sequel. Jake Gyllenhaal replacing Ryan. This was great. Variety and THR both blasted these headlines, okay, saying Ryan Reynolds replacing... Jake Gyllenhaal replacing Ryan Reynolds in Life, okay? The other one said... Jake Gyllenhaal joining Ryan Reynolds in Life. And we were like, shit, like now I got to find out which one it is. Like, is he replacing him? Is he joining him? And it turns out both of them were right. Jake Gyllenhaal is taking over Ryan Reynolds' role.
Right.
So he's technically is replacing him, and Ryan Reynolds is just moving to a smaller role.
Interesting.
Because he has less time to do it because he's shooting The Hitman's Bodyguard. So a really funny case of like accurate headlines that seem to contradict themselves.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal's really, really busy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously just about to go into Stronger, which is the...
right, and for some reason
Bold.
I already thought that it was shooting. Maybe they were just scouting locations in Boston, but I know that they had been in the city. So I figured that they were already in production, but yeah. He's gonna be playing... Is it Jeff Bowman? Yeah. Who lost his legs.
And obviously, he's doing his documentary at the moment. This is what I found out from Michael a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot on his plate at the moment.
Cool.
He's in demand again, which is... I think he's a great actor.
He's fantastic. See Demolition a couple weeks. I had lunch with that screenwriter this week, and that's going to be an interview coming up on the wrap soon. Have you been watching 11/22/63?
I haven't yet.
All right, then
that is on my list of things.
We'll
that I
close
want to
the show with my recommendation to watch 11/22/63 on Hulu. See Midnight Special when it comes out next week. Okay. I saw that, the Jeff Nichols film with Michael Shannon. It was very good.
I heard a lot of good things about that.
Yeah,
a lot of good things, and I love Michael Shannon.
Summer season is upon us. a few weeks
March.
away, I suppose. I know it's like I think
How do we get
Batman
there?
already starts. There is no spring movie season anymore. It's just go right to summer.
Boxing Day, 26th December.
So yeah, check out Midnight Special, Cloverfield Lane. Right, you would recommend that?
I would recommend, go and see it in the theater.
If you're a sci-fi fan, you should be watching 11/22/63. And that'll do it for us. Where can we find you, Simon?
On Twitter at ShowbizSimon, or here, obviously, every week.
All right, and I'm at the Sneider. You can find my stuff on therap.com. Sorry, I can't speak right now. And guys, have a great weekend. You can start that theme music now.
You are
From
so
the
ready to
Popcorn
leave.
Talk Network, the online broadcast network for Movie Talk, and the Schmoes Know. This is Meet the Movie Press, Roundtable Movie News. From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.